Hello, my name's Elizabeth. I'm Greyautumnrain on Ravelry, and this is my daughter Margaret. And this is our second episode of trying to do a knitting podcast. Margaret is 9, and it was her bright idea that I should have my own YouTube channel with a knitting podcast. So she's going to be my co-host. Last time, I meant to do about a 20-30 minute episode, and I rushed through it at warp factor 10. And it's like a 10-minute episode. Part of that was I had not only Margaret but the boys with me, and I think all the children in the room made it a little bit crazy. Poor Margaret has seasonal allergies; they're terrible right now. But we don't have the boys in the room right now; they're downstairs entertaining themselves. So we'll be a little bit more calmer and go a bit more slowly. All right, we're going to start off by talking about what we're wearing right now. Margaret, can you show your sweater? All right, Margaret is making a sweater that my mother made for her, and she just made it out of scrap yarn that she had lying around, a couple of different pinks. She didn't use a pattern as far as I know of, but you know, it's got a nice collar, a seam stitch collar. Raglan sleeves, there's some striping to use up 2 different pinks, some lovely buttons. And how did she do her button band? It's a seed stitch button band. All right, but there's no pattern to that, and my mom is not really on Ravelry. She's got a Ravelry account, but she never posts anything to it. Oh, and this that I'm wearing is actually a crocheted tunic. That I made about 10 years ago, and I remember that because I was finishing it up right before I did the IVF cycle that got us Margaret. My babies are IVF babies. I'm a fertility survivor. Winner. All right.
And except for the last one.
Except for the last one. Yeah, but I would never have gotten him without the first 2 IVF pregnancies. So this is a crocheted pattern from Taki Yarns.
You can get it if you want to.
No, you can't get it if you want to because I made this 10 years ago. This is the pattern that it's out of print.
Unless you just have it lying around.
Unless you just have it lying around. But it's just the yoke is just these crochet motifs. You knit 16 of them, 8 on the back, 8 on the front, and you crochet 16 of them, and then connect them up, and then the and then the body and the sleeves are just done in a double crochet and shell pattern thing. Yeah, I know
that's how old it is.
It's old, but that's the thing about making your own clothes is they're around a long time if you take good care of them and you make exactly what you want. In fact, this is so old that even the yarn is discontinued. It's Plymouth Wildflower DK, which was a
there's no more yarn of this.
No more yarn of this. Yes, it's a DK weight cotton acrylic blend.
This would cost a lot if you wanted to sell. I don't think you would.
No, yeah, I don't think you can find the yarn, but you can certainly find something similar.
Yes.
Yes, you could certainly find something similar, and you could certainly reproduce something similar.
Yes.
If you found a pattern for crochet motifs. So that's what we're wearing. All right, I'm going to talk about finished objects, but the first finished objects I'm going to talk about, I actually finished before the last podcast, but there's a reason for talking about it because my new finished object is a result of all this knitting that I did. So, Duncan, we'll show it in a minute, Margaret. Okay, you can show it now. Duncan requested knit socks. He caught me knitting socks for myself and wanted... Yeah, he caught me knitting socks for myself and he says, "Mommy, can you knit me socks?" And I'm like, oh, of course. So,
this is the first time she knitted socks for him.
That's the first time I've knitted socks for them.
Except that she did 2 pairs for me first, but we don't have the...
There's 2 pairs there.
Oh,
There's
yeah,
2 pairs.
Sorry.
So what did I do? I had you each choose your favorite color of Felici, Knit Picks Felici. And let's show yours first because you're right here. We'll show Duncan's last. Okay, so Margaret chose the Spring Blossoms colorway. Hold it up, you can see this. So I did 2 pairs of socks for her. Yeah, this one is the Fruit Loop, and I've got my notes. It's a knitty pattern. Here's my little notebook, Margaret. Do you see my little notebook? Let's see my little notebook, my show notes.
It's okay. You don't have to, Mom. You can always make them up.
Oh, there it is. Fell over. Okay, no,
That's
but
what I did for mine.
But they'll want to know who made the Fruit Loops pattern. It's by Christy Dracy. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. So the Fruit Loop pattern. It's a free pattern from Knitty.com, and you can find it on Ravelry. And then these are the Hermione Everyday Socks, right?
Hermione Granger.
Hermione Granger. Hermione Everyday Socks by Erica Luder. All right, yeah, there's 2 of those as well. And I did not take care to make the stripes match up, but Margaret likes them anyway. I asked her if it was okay if the stripes didn't match, and she said yes.
I don't care.
Okay.
I like clashy stuff.
Yes.
Sometimes I like clashy stuff. Sometimes
So,
I like matching stuff.
2 balls of Knit Pits Felici in the Spring Blossoms colorway got her 2 pairs of socks in her preferred sock height. All right.
Which isn't too long.
Okay, well, it's not going to be too long, honey. A lot of knitting podcasts are over an hour. Don't worry about it. All right. Next, Martin chose this.
I said the socks weren't too long.
The socks weren't too long. Okay. I was confused. I get confused easily. That's why you're co-hosting.
Let's just keep on with the video.
Okay, let's keep on with the video. All right. Martin, my youngest, chose the Sonora Sunset colorway of the Felici. Again, I got him 2 balls. And so these plain ones are the Rose City Rollers Littles by Catherine Mary Briner. Yeah, I just said that backwards. Mara Catherine Briner. Love the Rose City Roller socks. And I modified them. I put a 1x1 rib on the top. I made it a little longer, but it's a good plain vanilla sock recipe. It's free on Ravelry, and that's that pair.
Sorry for all my syrup.
Okay. And the second pair. Where's the second pair? I just had it. Oh, you've got it. You must stole mine. Second pair. Okay. The second pair I made are the business casual socks.
The business.
Yeah, by Tanis Fiber Arts. Also a free pattern on Ravelry. Now, since I was making this for a little boy who just turned 5, I made this over 56 stitches. And this pattern is actually super easy to modify for kids if you knit on 4 DPNs. Because each pattern, you just modify the pattern repeat so it fits on a single needle. When you get to the end of the needle, that should be the end of your pattern repeat. Margaret's fiddling with the camera. It's okay. But it's beautiful. Other than that, the other modification I made, you see that I made I continued the pattern down the toe just because it fit nicely. So the cable goes straight onto the toe. I like continuing patterns down the toe as far as possible. All right, and finally, Duncan chose the Captain Nemo colorway. I love this colorway. It's a great colorway for a boy, right?
Great colorway.
And I asked him how long he wanted his socks, and he wanted knee socks. And this makes sense because Duncan gets a lot colder than the other kids. Isn't that right, Margaret? Yeah. So he's got knee socks, and this is just, I did not use a specific pattern for this. This is just a 4-stitch repeat of a broken rib pattern. So knit 3, purl 1, and then next row knit over and over again. Simple, simple, simple.
Because you're a knitter.
Just knitting because I'm a knitter. A slip stitch heel.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. Heels are very personal. Everyone does different ones. I've tried a few different ones. I've tried the short row heel. I've tried Afterthought heels. I've tried a couple of others, I think. But I just do a slip stitch heel flap and gusset because I have high arches on my feet. And I can understand why people don't want to do a gusset and pick up stitches, you know, along the heel flap and stuff like that. I understand, and I cheat and pick them up with a crochet hook. But I can't, they're the only ones that fit on my feet. You know, I can barely get short row heels or Afterthought heel socks over that high arch, and then they feel too tight across the top of my foot. So I do the heel flap and gusset all the time because I have to. And my kids have inherited my high arches. Yes, you have lovely feet, Margaret.
I was just showing them.
Just showing them your lovely feet. Okay.
Just showing them what's a high arch, Mom?
That's where the arch of your foot comes up quite a long way.
Oh, we
yeah.
have big feet.
No, I have high arches on my feet. I have normal sized feet.
So a high arch is like this?
It's this part of your foot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So there was, because Duncan wanted knee socks, there was not quite enough yarn for him to have two pairs of knee socks out of the 2 balls of the Felici Captain Nemo. It's a beautiful colorway, and I have this thing where I love using up every single scrap of yarn, and the Captain Nemo was so beautiful. So I decided to pair it and some leftover of Martin's Sonora Sunset with this Stroll Dove Heather for these colorwork socks. I would not make these again as knee socks simply because it's stranded. It's a mosaic pattern. It's stranded colorwork, and the stranded colorwork is not very flexible. But you know, Duncan's got skinny legs and he can get them on, so it was okay. But it's not a risk I would recommend anyone else running. If you do this pattern, I would recommend doing it at the recommended length, and or you know, not any higher. Shorter would be fine. And that's the Ugly Duckling sock.
Because that was made by a person who
by Karina Ada, I think that's how to pronounce her name.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful. Yeah, she had this yarn that she didn't love, which sometimes happens, but looked much better when she did it with the mosaic stitch. And really, I love the Captain Nemo as it is.
Yes.
But
this looks. Really
it looks really good. The mosaic stitch, and you can't even tell, except for the reds and the blues, and the pinks down there, where it changes the Sonora Sunset over the at the toe. Like it's Captain Nemo up to like here on both socks, and then the Sonora Sunset for the foot.
Because we didn't have enough yarn.
And I like to make the most of my yarn. I pay for my yarn. I like to use every single scrap.
You're not making any of those monies to the waste, are you?
Yeah. Okay. So I made those all over January and February. So no, not January. What am I talking about? July and
January.
No, I'm confused. No. That's why I've got you here. July and August. I'm thinking it's going to be January and February, and those socks are going to be needed in January and February. We live in Massachusetts. It gets cold here. Does it get cold here?
It gets cold here.
All right.
It doesn't snow a lot. It just gets cold.
It just gets cold. Yeah, we get a fair. Well, there was that one time. Do you remember the snow winter where school was shut down for 2 weeks and we got like 100 inches of snow? Yeah.
Yay!
She remembers that.
Yeah, it was the best winter ever.
It was the best winter ever, as far as she was concerned, because she did not have to shovel. All right. So.
It was the best one because there's no school for me.
There was no school for you for like 2 weeks running. Yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway.
It was the best winter for you if there's no 2 weeks.
Yes. Anyway, with 2 little boys in the house and a little girl who is not always as neat as she could be.
Hey!
Okay.
The boys aren't neat as. The boys aren't any near as neat as I am.
Whose fork did I find on the floor this morning? Yeah. Okay. Enough said. No matter how often I sweep or Swiffer and vacuum the floors, there seems to be always crumbs in the house. I didn't want the boys running around in hand knit socks and nothing else, because
They're
no matter.
very dirty. We're working on it.
We're working on it, but the floors are often dirty. So I made some slippers. Margaret, you want to show the slippers? Yes, slippers.
I gave her the yarn for the slippers. Actually.
Margaret gave me the yarn for the slippers. This is red. This is the yarn is the Red Heart Super Saver that we got at Michael's, and Margaret decided she wasn't going to use this, and it's a reasonable jewel tone rainbow colorway for boys. Yes, it looks nice. I made 2 pairs of slippers.
There's none for me. There's none for me.
None for her yet. I made because I the pattern. Let me talk about the pattern, Margaret.
Okay, fine.
Okay, the pattern is the non-felted slippers pattern by Yuko Nakamura. It's a free pattern on Ravelry.
Of course, almost all patterns are free on Ravelry.
No, your mommy's a cheapskate and doesn't pay for patterns if she can help it.
Because you always say.
So they're lovely. I held the Red Heart. It calls for a super bulky.
It's a puppet.
It's a puppet. It's a puppet.
Hello.
Hello. I'm a slipper. I'm gonna eat you.
Don't eat me.
Okay.
It's already been 16 minutes.
Oh wow. I held the Red Heart Super Saver double, which is the worsted weight double, to make a super bulky, and it made a nice thick fabric on the slippers. I can be a yarn snob. I like nice yarns. I love indie dyed yarns, but sometimes the acrylic from the craft store is the right answer. And for slippers to protect your nice hand knit socks on floors that are not always as pristine as we would like, acrylic was the answer. Now I need to make Margaret a pair of slippers. I promised her a pair of slippers too, but this used all of a skein of the Red Heart.
And I gave that for you.
Yes, so I've got some novelty yarn in silver that I want to pair with maybe a bulky weight yarn to do similar sweaters, similar slippers for Margaret. Yes, I threw the socks on the bed. So if they were out of our, we finished talking about that. Okay, we're not going to talk about that next.
Hey.
That's not the plan. Okay, works in progress are next. Okay, works in progress.
Not just
Stash enhancement comes last.
Sorry, I gave about the sneak peek.
That's okay. All right. I forgot to talk about my bags last time.
Bag.
This is one of my julep bags. I have 4 julep bags that I bought 4.5 years ago, and unfortunately, she's no longer making bags. But they're lovely. They're lovely drawstring bags with lined and.
This we already talked about this.
We already talked about this.
You can check out the last video.
Yes. This is my Celeste sweater by Cecily Glowick McDonald in Sandara yarn, bronzed forest. This pin, that's how much I've knit. I've knit like 6-7 rows since last podcast. Not that much. Yes. But it's beautiful.
Now let's talk about something else because we already talked about this last time. Mom.
We talked about this last time. We'll talk about something else now. But I should say
that's just the first thing
I didn't. Yes. For some reason, sweaters for me tend to be lower priority than stuff for my kids.
Hey, it's not gonna make you.
I know. I like making things for you guys more, don't I? Yeah. Yes. Yes. All right. Last week I talked about this, and I've made quite a bit of progress. This is in another one of my julep bags. I love them. I'm sad that she doesn't make them anymore, but people on Etsy sometimes just have to give these things up. All right, last time I told you that I'd frogged it right back to the collar. I didn't tell you why. I was starting to feel a little flustered, and so I started rushing.
Because you were starting to have a headache? Or something?
No, because the boys were starting to be noisy. All right, the reason why, this is my spiderweb sweater, and the reason why I'd frogged back to it, because Martin is a Spider-Man fan, and this is for him.
He loves Spider-Man.
He loves Spider-Man.
He wants Spider-Man socks.
He wants Spider-Man socks. I'll have to figure out how to do that. If anyone has a pattern suggestion, please message me.
Please.
But anyway,
for
some stupid reason, I was doing a raglan top down, and that was the wrong answer. It really needed to be a circular yoke. So this is a circular yoke pattern, and I've done all the yoke and most of the body. It's still on my Knit Picks interchangeable needles down there, and this is made with Knit Picks gloss in the burgundy colorway, which is an old color that I've had in my stash for ages, and they don't have burgundy anymore, but they've got loads and loads of other beautiful colors that are similar. And the Knit Picks Preciosa in the Panther, which is the black, which was left over from Duncan's Batman sweater that I showed last time. And I should have just enough Panther to keep doing the spiderweb pattern on the body. And then I'm just going to knit the arms plain. That's my plan. I'm hoping to have it done by the next time I make a podcast, but we'll see. Sweaters take a while, especially arms. Yes. All right, and the last work in progress I have to show is a sock.
Those alarms are going off for portals. She plays Ingress.
I play Ingress. We'll talk about Ingress in a minute, actually,
Oh.
when we talk about my stash enhancements.
Oh.
All right.
Oh.
So this is a sock that I am making for myself, and I'll talk a little bit about this. I've been looking for patterns for
A long time.
For a long time that for socks with those little lacy cuffs, little anklet socks with little lacy cuffs, like you used to
This
see
is
in the
way
olden
longer
days.
than that.
It's a little bit longer. I like socks that come just over my ankle bone, and I ended up making this. It looks right when it's on my foot because here's a heel there. So I found this pattern on Ravelry. It's a free pattern, and I will try to pronounce it properly. It's clearly the designer is German. There's an English pattern for it, but it's the Musterranken Umschlang Sneaker by Sylvia Lugenholscher. I think that's how you pronounce it, but I don't speak German, so I'm sorry if I completely murdered it.
Sorry to affect the German people.
Yes. I would have loved to take German in high school, but it wasn't offered my year, and I took French instead.
French is good.
French is good.
I want to take Japanese.
Anyway, I have I'm completely copying somebody else on Ravelry who did it completely. Who they did it, and with a
give the credit to them, not to her. To them.
Yes. I don't remember which Raveler it was. A couple of them did it actually. It's because it's such a good idea. They did the leaf band in green, and the body
the credit
in this
to the person who made it. If you found out that Ravelry, give the gift to them.
Yes. I'm sure if they search on Ravelry, they will find out the person who did it. Because you can see her inspiration photo on her project. It's got like strawberries in it.
Strawberries.
So this is the Everglade Heather stroll, Knit Picks stroll, and the body is the Hollyberry stroll. I don't always block everything, but I do always block lace. So I've made the cuffs, the bands first. Am I holding on? I'm holding it backwards.
You're holding it backwards, lady.
Mm-hmm. So I made the lace edging first and then blocked it, and then you pick up the stitches along there. And again, I modified the foot pattern to do my stitch heel and gusset.
It would be pretty nice for a bracelet.
It would be pretty nice for a bracelet.
We might make that. Maybe you could try to knit a bracelet.
Maybe we'll try and make a bracelet. But anyway, I wanted to make these for myself so I could experiment on myself, so I could then make similar socks for Margaret. Yes, always experiment.
I think they look cool.
All right, and so.
But we're going to make it instead a fall leaf thing.
Fall leaf thing. So this is some leftover Sandara sock yarn that I have. This is a beautiful, beautiful colorway called Sunshine, and it reminds me of the orange, the sort of orangey yellow leaves that you get in the fall. Margaret likes it. I have just enough. It took me a little over 40 yards to do the leaf bands on my socks, so I have 60 yards of that. Should be plenty to do the leaf bands. And then I'm going to pair it with this. This is the Dove Heather stroll.
So wait, which one's going to be the leaf again?
The yellow one's going to be the leaf. The leaf's around there. And I've got another ball of the Dove Heather. Yeah. So we'll...
Speaking of, Halloween's coming up soon.
Halloween's coming up soon. This is September 10th. Halloween is...
Well, the day we're filming it, and it's like September. 1 p.m. right now.
Yes. So, yeah, Halloween's the end of October. It's, a month and a few weeks away. So anyway, I love this color combination together. I think this light gray is a very fall autumn color. I don't know. Other people have other opinions, but Margaret liked it, didn't you? So
I loved it.
that's going to be her next pair of socks. All right. Listen, I've got one of these. I'm past the heel turn.
Past the heel turn.
Yeah, I'm knitting the foot now.
With the foot.
All right.
The foot.
And that, I believe, I showed all 3 works in progress that I wanted to talk about. So
Are you guys going to be following?
now we're on to stash enhancements. Go get my stash enhancement. Oh my goodness! Show them.
Oh wait, let me get all the yarn.
Get all the yarn. Get all the yarn.
Get all of them.
So
Can't see me picking up these.
they can't see you picking up the yarn.
You can.
I can.
Look at the camera.
Bring it over. Bring it over.
Ah! It's just really. Ah!
Don't drop my yarn on the floor. Okay.
I am sorry, but there's a lot of.
Okay, so I've got a birthday coming up in a week.
Me.
So this is what I bought myself for my birthday.
Yourself. You bought yourself.
I bought myself for my birthday.
Ew.
Listen tight.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, how did you tell me to do it? 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
They were missing one. Oh, there it is.
Oh, gosh.
We're missing one. All right. All right. So this will be
Like dark, shady.
shady. You can probably tell because I've got 7 strands here of fingerling yarn. It's going to be a Find Your Fades shawl in different greens. Margaret's helped me figure out how I should order them. So it's going to start here. This is Stroll Tonal in Evergreen.
Wait, let's put these down.
Okay, Stroll Tonal and Evergreen. Love that.
Then
that's the Hawthorn Kettle Dye in Serpent. It's my first time buying the Hawthorn. I like it. This is the Stroll Tonal in Canopy. That's show it. Stroll Tonal. That's Mountain Pass. Okay, that's the Stroll Tonal. Show it. You gotta show it.
I'm getting.
That's the Stroll Tonal in Matcha.
This comes last.
No, I think you said this and then this one.
Wait, no, I said.
Oh, well, whatever. You'll fix it. This is the Stroll Tonal in Spring. This is this is Hawthorn hand paints in Springfield. Hawthorn, tonal hand paints in Springfield, and the last one, Stroll Tonal in Cucumber. All right, this is going to be my Find My Fade shawl.
I want to sleep with it like a teddy bear.
It's so soft. Yeah. The Hawthorn is not as soft, but it feels crisper. It feels like it's going to wear off well. Yes. But the Stroll is so soft. All right, and the inspiration for that is a game I play on my phone called Ingress. I'll show it to you. You can't see it on the phone so well.
Oh wait, no wait.
Mm-hmm.
I'll try this.
Yeah. Reflecting itself in the screen. All right. If you're familiar with Pokemon Go, this is made by the same company. This is their older game called Ingress. It's an enhanced reality game. Okay, you can stop showing them now.
Okay. It's basically where
you make big triangles. You capture portals.
Oh my god!
Oh, do we need to charge our portal? Oh. You capture portals, depending on which team you are. There are 2 teams, the Enlightenment and the Resistance, and we play the Enlightenment team, and their color is green.
We don't resist.
Yes.
We enlighten it.
We enlighten.
We enlighten it. We don't resist.
All right. So we make you connect up portals, and you can make fields and, every time you make a triangle, and you can layer the fields. And the Find Your Fade shawl, I thought would be perfect for an Ingress themed shawl. Because it's enhanced reality, I walk around playing this game with my phone, and I walk around in the
You're
wintertime.
addicted to it. Well, not too addicted.
Not too addicted.
You like it.
I like it. It gives me exercise, right? This is how I get my exercise. I walk around playing Ingress.
You
Yeah.
love.
Well, anyway, it can get quite cold, so a nice big shawl would be a good thing for that.
It would take years.
Yeah, and the other thing I wanted to say about that is I love the julep bags. I didn't show the sort of julep bag that I'm using. I love these, but like I said, the lady's no longer making them, hasn't been making them since shortly after I bought these like 4.5 years ago. And I have like, well, they're all small bags. They're all like right for a sock project. And 4 years ago when I was making a lot of toddler size sweaters, yeah, I could scrunch them into those bags quite easily, but now when I'm making a lot more sweaters for larger kids, they don't, a worsted weight fit sweater will not get
We're not
stretched in there.
sponsored, by the way.
We're not sponsored. No.
We're not being sponsored.
Especially not by a lady who's no longer making stuff. But
No.
another part of my birthday present that's coming in the mail is I did buy a new bag, a project bag. It's a larger size that I'm hoping that the Find Your Fade will live in while I'm making that, and hopefully sweater projects in the future. All right.
She almost has all of the badges. She's just missing 3.
Yes, in Ingress. All right. I think that's it. Was there anything you wanted to say, Margaret?
Well, what did I say?
Do you like having a mommy who knits? Yes. Are you going to learn to knit soon?
Maybe.
Maybe. Okay. All right. Well, thank you everyone for watching. This is much better. It's been half an hour, so.
It's been about half an hour and 2 minutes.
Half an hour, 2 minutes. Okay.
But yeah.
All right. Well, we'll try and do it again.
And I want to say something first.
Okay, you say something first.
We're not sponsored. We're not going to be sponsored by anybody in the future.
We're not sponsored, but if people want to send me stuff, I'm gonna accept it. Okay. Don't stop people from sending me free yarn.
Okay.
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 But no, I'm just doing it for the fun of it, not for any other reason. Okay. Bye bye.
And also for warmth.